Hi, my name's Ethan Reeves. I'm the developer of Genie and founder of Ifrit Technologies. In this video, we're going to be going over the article view. Now, the article view inside of Genie is where you're going to be spending most of your time. And though it may seem really simple at first, there's actually a lot of power packed into it. In order to use the article view, we're going to need to open an article. Now, this would be the same for any article that you'd use. Any article that you open in Genie will be opened using the article view, but we're just going to use one as an example. So let's go to think tanks, all think tanks. Actually, there's a specific one I'm looking for. Tanks. Here we go. This looks like a great article. Did China break the world economic order? It's over 1,000 words from the Carnegie Mellon Endowment for International Peace. Click on it in the sidebar, and here we are at the article view. Now, some parts of this are going to be pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to run through the whole thing. Right up here at the top, we have the title of the article. We have its publication. We have the date of the article. If this was a date access rather than the date that the article itself was from, it would have a little A in parentheses there, so that's how you can tell the difference. This one doesn't, so this is the date the article was published. Under here, we have how the article was saved. This article was saved into Genie by auto-filing. That could also say query filing or manually filed, which would be if you use the article extractor. And we can see that this article was filed into the system on today. Now, right here in italics is what is probably my favorite part of the entire article view. For some articles, Genie is actually going to be able to extract the credentials of the author who wrote the article. Now, it's of course great to cite the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, but it's much better to cite a senior fellow in the Carnegie Asia program. Genie is the only software that actually pulls out those credentials so that you can use them. Looking at the article text itself, everything is here in clean, clear, plain text for you to read and look over. The next major part of the article view is this toolbar on the left over here. Now, every one of the things in this toolbar is labeled. You just need to hover your mouse over it and you can see what it does. Right up here, we have Add to Collection. That's going to let us add this current article into a collection to keep it organized and save it with the rest of our research. So if we wanted to put this in this collection, we could put it there. Of course, there's no need to put this article about China in a collection about Iran, but you get the general point. This is how you can quickly add an article into a collection. The next thing available over here is editing the article. If it looks like the date is wrong, you want to add some more credentials, edit the title, you can do that right here. The next thing here says download all references. That's a very cool feature which we're going to be looking at the end of the video. Now we have back and next. If we had multiple articles open, let me go do that here. Open a few more articles. That will let us just jump really quickly right through the articles that are open in the sidebar. You can see there it's shifting down through the articles, and this is a great way to jump through things. The next thing here is close the article. We don't want to do that. And the final button is settings. Let's say you like a larger font size or want to change some things up, you can do that here. We can have the article with or without margins. We can change the font size to, let's say, extra small and then go without margins if you want to fit as much text on as possible. Or if you want cleaner, clearer readability, you could go large text and keep the margins. The other thing available down here has to do with highlights. Some leagues only allow highlights in one color, so if you happen to highlight the article in multiple colors before, you can select flatten to yellow to change all of the multicolor highlights into just yellow when you're viewing it, or if you don't like the highlights, you can just hide them. That actually brings us right to the next thing we're going to be talking about in this video, which is highlighting content and cutting cards. So you can highlight any text inside of Genie, and then save those highlights, and they'll be synchronized with your team members. For instance, this sentence right here, China does account for the largest share of America's trade deficit. That might be a great thing to highlight. So let's select it with our mouse, and then we get this pop-up. This is if we want to cut it into a card, or we can select one of these highlight colors. Let's make it blue. You can highlight as much content as you want inside as many articles. Now, the great thing about highlighting in Genie is those highlights are going to be automatically synchronized to all of your team members if the article has been added to a collection. So if this is one of the articles that you've been researching and you put it in a collection, then all of your team members will be able to see the highlights as well. The other thing here is the ability to cut a card from the selection. We'll be looking at that later in a video about cutting cards. All right, the final really interesting part of, actually one more thing about highlights, you can remove a highlight by clicking on it. You see you'll get this little changed cursor here, and then you can click on it to remove the highlight. Okay, final thing for this video is talking about references. Now, one of the great things about the internet is hyperlinks. So when you're researching stuff on the internet, you can easily jump between things and see references immediately. Genie lets you keep doing that. We can see right here we have this sentence, but many experts don't seem to think that bilateral trade deficits are a problem. There's a hyperlink right here. If we put our cursor over this link, we get this little pop-up. This is very useful because we can immediately jump to the article. Watch this though. If we click download the article, it'll automatically download the article into Genie, and that is fantastic. Let's download this New York Times article. There we have it. Surprising truths about trade deficits. We can click on the link now since it's been downloaded, and it opens up right here. Just like that, and then this article has links in it as well, which means that if we wanted to, for instance, get this New York Times article about a revised trade agreement between Mexico and Canada, we could click download on that, and then jump over to this. Now, this is an incredibly powerful tool because this lets you download content as you research it. It lets you research inside of Genie. Now, the advantage of that is that all of these things are saved as you go through them, and you can highlight in them, save them, collaborate with them, organize with the rest of your research, cut cards from them, and everything else. That's a very powerful tool because referencing sources is quite important. There's a simple way to do this in bulk as well. If you want to download all of the articles that this article referenced, and this article references a lot of articles, you can just come over here to the toolbar and click Download All References. What that's going to do is it's going to download every single article that the current article you're on references by a hyperlink. That's a very powerful tool to get you primary sources and everything else you need to make the article really valuable to your competition. We can see that it's still downloading here because there are a lot of hyperlinks in this great article. There we have it, downloaded 33 referenced articles. And just like that, we went from having one article about did China break the world economic order to having 34 articles on the same topic, cross-referenced with each other and cleanly organized.